Hello friends, my name is Michelle Fondin and I'm an author and speaker and a divine feminine twin flame, currently in physical separation but always divine union with my divine masculine twin flame. And welcome to my new video playlist series on twin flame connections. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and watch my first video on what is a twin flame. There is an explanation so you can kind of understand where you are on this journey. And certainly if my message doesn't resonate with you, please check out other YouTubers with the same divine twin flame messages. It's really super duper important that if you are going through this journey that you totally understand what you're in and how to navigate it. Now, just remember, as with any esoteric topic or any spiritual topic, of course, it's so difficult to put it in physical terms because anything that happens in spirituality is happening up there in the ethers, and it can be hard to bring that knowledge down to earth and make it very earthly and to help you understand. So to that end, if a term or a phrase or something doesn't quite make sense to you, just know that usually it starts to make sense when you have direct experience of that. So it's not that what me or somebody else is defining that it's something that is not real or not true. It just might be that you haven't had direct experience of it yet. And so when it's a spiritual concept, it can be really hard to grasp. I'm going to, in this video, talk about twin flame vocabulary because when you're new on this journey and you watch other YouTubers or YouTube videos on the twin flame connection or the twin flame journey, they throw out all this vocabulary at you and you're like, what? And I know this happened to me when I first started learning about twin flames. Even knowing spiritual-based vocabulary, it was still really hard for me to grasp and to understand. So of course, the first term is twin flame. So in the first video in this playlist, I talk about what is a twin flame. So I'm going to give it super succinctly now, and I have a much larger explanation in the other video. So twin flame, it is a divine soul counterpart. Think of it like the yin-yang symbol. So a soul that is divided in two before coming to earth, and who have a soul contract together to come back together here on earth for an ultimate life purpose. Usually a romantic relationship. It doesn't always have to be a romantic relationship, but most of the time it does take form in a romantic relationship. So that's a twin flame. Now, what is the difference between a twin flame and a soulmate? So a soulmate, that's vocabulary word number 2. A soulmate is a person who you do have a soul contract with before you came to earth, but who doesn't share your same soul, meaning that you have a soul connection, but you're not one soul divided into two, like in a twin flame connection or relationship. So a soulmate is someone you have a divine contract with, a soul contract with, and it could have to do with homework, I like to say, or karma from your past that you both need to resolve together. And the soulmate can come packaged as a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, a child, or a best friend, or a lover. It doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic interest. So a soulmate is someone you have something to work out in this lifetime with, and it's usually a soul contract that has something to do with you clearing out some either negative karma, bringing in positive karma, or helping to elevate your soul in some way. So that is a soulmate. Now, can a soulmate be a love interest? Of course a soulmate can be a love interest. Can you be married to a soulmate? Of course you can be married to a soulmate. So just know that it's a little bit different than a twin flame. Now, can twin flames be also soulmates? Maybe. God can do anything. And those that say like, no, a twin flame's a twin flame, a soulmate's a soulmate, they can't be one and the same and they can't be both. you know what? I'm not the creator of the whole universe. God is the creator of the whole universe. If God wants to make someone your soulmate and your twin flame, so be it. That's up to God. It's not up to me, and I don't know the answer to that question because I'm not God. The third word you might hear is karmic, coming from the word karma, the Greek word no, I'm kidding. I love Big Fat Greek Wedding. Karmic in the twin flame community is often referred to as a person with whom you are working out some karma. Usually it is referring to a romantic interest. So it could be a husband or wife, boyfriend or girlfriend, romantic partner, or sexual partner. And you will often hear in this community someone referring to a partner, a twin flame partner who is running and is in a relationship with a karmic. That is referring to perhaps a soulmate, or just perhaps another person who is not the twin flame. Okay? Again, these are just words. These are just terms to help to describe the situation that we tend to find ourselves in when we're in a twin flame connection or relationship. So the fourth is ascension. You might hear that word. And when I think of ascension, having grown up Catholic, I think of Mother Mary being ascended into heaven or Jesus ascending into heaven. What we are talking about in the twin flame connection, in the twin flame community, is the ascension of your soul. Now, technically speaking, your soul is already perfect. It's a piece of God. Your soul is already unconditional love. Your soul is already whole. Okay? However, in order to create bridging so that those of us who live on earth can understand, what it's talking about is your soul not being anchored by the ego. And so when your soul is anchored by the ego and you're operating from ego-based consciousness, which I talk about in a previous video on ego-based consciousness, is that when you're operating from ego-based consciousness, it can look like your soul is tethered to the ego. Does that make sense? So just think of it as being anchored or tethered with a cord to the ego, and it brings the soul more down to earth versus the soul being elevated to where it's supposed to be without the ego necessarily attached to it, bringing it down to fear-based energy. Does that make sense? Okay, so in the twin flame union, which we're already in union, just remember that. So if you're a twin flame, you are always united in spirit with your twin flame counterpart. There is no way you guys could possibly be separated in spirit. For earthly purposes in this human incarnation, in this human body, you agreed to divide your soul and incarnate in two separate bodies, okay? But your spirit, your soul is never separate, is never divided. You guys are always one. So just know that. But the ascension of your soul is literally meaning the dissolving of the ego in a way that the ego, and seriously view my video on that, but the ego is behaving itself so that the soul can act like a soul and the ego acts like, I'm going to behave myself. So then we get into 5, 6, and 7, 3D, 4D, and 5D. Now seriously guys, I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm a meditation teacher. I did not hear these terms until I started watching videos on twin flames and twin flame connections. So I wouldn't be surprised if you had not really grasped these terms either. So in twin flame videos and readings and blogs, when you hear the words 3D, 4D, and 5D, they are referring to 3D, physical presence, physical here. We're on earth here in our earthly bodies. These bodies, we are here, that's the 3D. The 4D is space and time, okay? So in meditation, when we talk about transcending space and time, we're speaking about transcending the 4D, but I didn't even know it's called that, okay? So that's the 4D apparently. And the 5D is soul consciousness, okay? That's what I believe it is. But from everything that I've heard in what we call in meditation circles, it's sort of like going up from cosmic consciousness into divine consciousness into unity consciousness. So it's really getting into those higher states of consciousness, okay? It's just called different vocabulary words, different terms. Again, when you're dealing with spiritual terms, it's hard to put it into words. So when it's hard to put it into words, you're more dealing with concepts than actual words. So don't get caught up in the actual words. 8 and 9 are divine masculine and divine feminine. For divine masculine and divine feminine, those vocabulary words mean the two aspects of the soul that have been divided. Think of the yin-yang symbol. They tend to take on more qualities of one rather than the other. So, for example, the divine feminine is more the yin part of the yin-yang symbol, and the divine masculine is the yang part, or the masculine energy in that yin-yang symbol. Now, regardless of your gender, it doesn't matter, because you can have a divine masculine in a feminine body, and you can have a divine feminine in a masculine body. It doesn't matter. In my twin flame union, I happen to be the divine feminine, and my twin flame is the divine masculine. And I happen to be in a feminine body, and my twin flame happens to be in a masculine body. There you go. That is my story. So it's just the separation of the soul that finds each other in the polarity that is the masculine and the feminine. Now, that doesn't mean that you do not embody qualities of both, because you absolutely do. It's just that for the sake and purpose of discussing this journey, we are referring to it as the divine masculine and the divine feminine. 10 is runner and chaser. You will hear these terms because of the trajectory of the twin flame relationship. There is a stage. Now, it may not pertain to your story. It may pertain to your story in a very short duration, or it may pertain to your story in a very long duration. It just depends. It depends on your story. There's no judgment surrounding your story. It just is what it is. So runner-chaser is a stage in the twin flame connection where the twin flame energy is activated or ignited when you meet your twin flame. And when that energy is activated, it's a very intense energy. It's very, very sharp, penetrating, igniting. And I'm just channeling these words, guys. The angels are just telling you what to say. So think of it as fire. It's fire, right? It's a flame. It's fire. It's hot. It's penetrating. It's igniting. It's bright. It's intense, just like fire is. And so when this energy from the twin flame meeting is ignited, it's so intense that for one of the two parties, typically the divine masculine, it causes something called the runner-chaser dynamic. And so because both ends of the twin flame, or both halves of the twin flame connection, are feeling this intense energy, one of them, typically the divine masculine, is feeling it more intensely, and so the propensity is to run from it. Just like a fire, right? So some of us, when we see a fire in a fireplace, we move toward it and we put our hands toward it, like, ooh, this feels really good. Ooh, it feels so warm and cozy. And you want to sit and like roast marshmallows by it and put on a blanket and like read a book by the fire. But some people see that fire as like, oh my God, I got to stay away. It's really hot, and oh, it's so bright. Like, you know, and so that is the dynamic that tends to happen. And so the runner-chaser is that one twin flame tends to run in this phase of the relationship, and then the other one will chase, say, hey, wait, where are you going? This was so awesome. This was amazing. Our connection was super. And so that's the dynamic of the runner-chaser. Now, it doesn't always happen in that way. And if you view Dove and Nicole from Twin Flame Revolution, just look them up. They do a really great video on runner and chaser, and and that both parties do run. Even if it's a latent running, both parties actually do run. Number 11 is union. And in my last video, we did talk about union. And I emphasized that when you are a twin flame, you are always, 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 always in union. There is no possible way you could be separate from your twin ever, never, 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 never. You're never separate. In spirit, you are always together. In physical reality, you might be living in two different places and not in a physical relationship, but you're always together. And so when you hear twin flame speakers speak about union, they're typically referring to physical union. And that's what all of us as twin flames are hoping to get toward through the work that we do together, is because the elevation of the consciousness of the earth is designed in union. Okay, not division, but union. So number 12 is then separation. And separation, of course, we're referring to the physical separation of the two parties. 13 is catalyst. You might hear the word catalyst, and a catalyst, and I mentioned this a little bit when we talked about karmic, a karmic relationship or karma. Catalyst is often a relationship that starts or sparks the healing process within us in order for us to be prepared and ready for our twin flame meeting. So that's a catalyst. A soul contract is number 14. Soul contract is a pact, a contract that you signed up for before you came to earth. So you signed up for this contract with God. You did. There you go. And the reason you are with your twin flame is to fulfill this soul contract that you have with them. And gifts. So you might hear the word gifts time and again. So there are certain gifts that come through this union with your twin flame. And a lot of those gifts happen to be things like telepathy, psychic abilities, and heightened intuition. So when they say gifts, those are what they're referring to. 16 is telepathy. What the heck is telepathy? Well, telepathy can happen in all relationships. It actually can, because if you look at really, really, really close friends or brothers and sisters or actual twins, like physical twins, like twins that were born together of the same womb, many of them actually do experience telepathy, and that is messages that you receive without actual verbal communication. And typically it can happen across miles, or it can happen across continents. A lot of times when twin flames ignite, when they meet each other, when that flame is ignited, the gifts start to arise, even if you're not in physical union. But you are able to telepathically communicate with your twin. And so that is one of the gifts. 17, you'll hear the work. What work do I need to do? The work, as I understand it, is typically referring to meditation, chakra clearing, clearing the wounds of your past, clearing out karmic relationships, forgiveness, compassion, empathy. So it's practicing what I call the work, because, you know, again, each speaker is going to take this slightly differently. What I refer to as the work is kind of like homework that you're doing in order to practice being unconditionally loving, right? So naturally we are unconditional love, but we're not always practicing unconditional love. So the work that you're doing is practicing, is doing your homework of unconditional love. And you can only do that homework. Now, since you're connected to your twin flame, when you do your homework of loving unconditionally, your twin flame also feels that unconditional love, but it's not for the purpose of your twin flame that you're practicing the unconditional love. It's so that you can be unconditionally loving, if that makes sense. All right, here we go. We're almost done. Energy clearing. What does energy clearing have to do with this? So you'll hear the words energy clearing, and a lot of that has to do with just clearing old stuff from your past imprints, past karma, any energy that you happen to be carrying that's heavy, that's guilt-based, that's unforgiveness, that is old relationship stuff that you happen to be carrying around, or wounds from your childhood that you happen to be carrying around. You can do energy clearing in many, 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 many ways. You can do it through meditation. You can ask your angels to help clear you, in particular, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Raziel are really good at doing that energy clearing for you, and Archangel Metatron, who does chakra clearing. You can do prayer, meditation. You can work with some healers, like Reiki healers. There's a lot of ways you can do energy clearing. Wounds, number 19. Wounds are referred to as I mentioned, childhood wounds or wounds from your past or from past lives. And 20, intuition and psychic gifts. Those, again, are the gifts that are opened and awakened up. It doesn't mean that you do not have them. It means that they tend to be ignited and opened up, and the channels for those gifts of intuition and psychic abilities tend to be widened. Just think of it as a path that tends to go from this narrow path into a much wider path. And so when you meet your twin flame and you are both activated and ignited with the flame of love, of unconditional love, and recognition of your soul, that these gifts tend to be also opened up to you in greater ways than they ever were. So when you hear intuition and psychic gifts that tend to be opened up with your twin or the encountering of your twin flame, that is what it is referring to. So I'm sure I've forgotten some vocabulary words, but I hope that in this video you came to understand what some of these terms mean. And remember, if you don't like the terms, then name it something else. It really doesn't matter. It's not the terms that count, it's the concept that counts. It's understanding the spiritual concepts, again, in this twin flame journey that is happening on such a spiritual level that it's so hard to grasp on a physical level. If you have a hard time understanding it, then just go ahead and name it other words that you find that are clearer to you, that make it better for you to totally get and totally understand. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below and hit the bell for notifications. It's so funny, in this twin flame union and community, I almost hesitate to say sharing with your friends and family. Share with other twin flames. How about that? Share with other people that you find that are on your journey. And all my other videos, share with family and friends. The twin flame one, as you'll go through this journey and understand, it can be hard for people to understand. So share with other twin flames and awakened souls. And thank you for pledging your support on Patreon, www.patreon.com/michellefondinauthor. If you are getting something out of these videos and you're finding that they're transforming and changing your life through the messages that I receive and give to you, you can gift me and this channel $1 a month, $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, whichever amount you think is worth it to you for the learning that you're experiencing here. www.patreon.com/michellefondinauthor, and I will see you in the next video.